I remember pretty clearly there was this moment in 2002 when we were working on this huge house, and I just went walking around before the owners moved in and had a look at it, and there were just, I just mentally calculated how many hours had gone into this thing, and here it was, just this one house for one family, and they were probably going to knock it down in 20 years' time. I thought, how is it that we invest this amount of time into just this? How can you go beyond just making the lives of already very comfortable people even more comfortable? How do you use those skills for some greater thing? Quite commonly these days we get people coming to us and saying, can you design me a new house? And they feel like they've got an extraordinary, very generous budget. They might say, well, you've got $1 million to build a house, which sounds to them like a huge amount of money, and we're thinking, well, that's actually not a huge amount of money. There's a big gap in the middle, and that's, I think, what I've been conscious of for a long time and trying to solve. I think housing has become a burden on people. It's possibly maybe one of the biggest burdens that we face. How do you create a world that's more flexible? How do you create a house that's more flexible? Because it's just out of the range of possibility for a lot of kids. For me, these ideas have been in my head for 10 years, at least, or maybe more, and I've done nothing with them for 10 years. So when Seed came along, it was really scratching an itch. Our proposed solution is that we'll design a series of modules that can be pre-designed, pre-costed, pre-engineered, that are systematised in terms of all their spaces and how they could get constructed, and then arranged on particular sites. They can design houses that are more cost-effective by virtue of being efficient, which then brings them into range of the kind of audience, the kind of market that I think would really value something that's of a better environmental performance. I think it's an alignment of what I believe and what I do. It's a thing that allows me to go to work fully believing in where we're going, and it's more about, I think, in an outcome sense, it's about people and community. It provides a real alternative to somebody who wants to build a house that is joyful and beautiful, which allows them a possibility of life that they might not have otherwise had, and maybe a less burdened life, hopefully, and a more hospitable life, hopefully. I would like to see our cities aligned more with God's priorities for how we should live. I don't think it's in God's plan that we should spend such a huge amount of our time caring about and worried about how we're going to house people. What I'd like my kids to see in their parents is striving for doing what they can. You know, I think I'd like our kids to see that, you know, you've got these gifts and you use them how you can. You know, it's not okay just to sort of do what the world does just because that's what's done. God has made you with certain gifts, so use them. Get out there and do something good with that. And you know, I think this is my little bit in that story, and hopefully that engages the rest of our family in a similar story.